Hello, this is Matthew Crutcher presenting my study on teacher professional development and student assessment strategies. So the first thing I wanted to look at was what is student assessment? And student assessment, defined by Knowles and Brown, was a set of strategies designed to determine what students know and what they can do. Now we know that students don't learn in the same way, so my question is, why are we still assessing them in the same way? So we've got so many different types of ways to assess, yet we still seem stuck on the multiple choice, maybe short answer type questions, but there's such a variety of different ways that students can be assessed. But then I also want to look at professional development. Are teachers getting the professional development that they need in order to use these different strategies? Once they have professional development on different types of assessment techniques, are they actually going into the classroom and using those different techniques? Or is it just kind of a wasted professional development session? We've all been in those professional development sessions where it just doesn't really feel like it's connecting with us. We don't know how we're going to use this type of information. But I wanted to see if that professional development on assessment techniques is actually being used. Are teachers going into the room and figuring out different ways that they can use those strategies? So for my theoretical framework, I wanted to start with the integrated learning theory. Now, integrated learning theory, or ILT, seems to have stemmed from Vygotsky's social constructivism. ILT states that the learning doesn't happen the same for everyone, and Aikenhead in 2004 stated that a variety of assessment instruments are available and should be designed to be used as a way to capture a student's learning. Not necessarily their ability to communicate their understanding, but what did they actually learn? Some students might not be able to read a complicated question and then answer it, but they can draw a picture, or they can do some other means to let you know, or let the teacher know, yes, I did understand what was being taught. I've got the concept, but a multiple choice question or short answer might not necessarily be the best way for me to communicate what I learned. So I used the ILT, the integrated learning theory, to base my study on how students should be, or even could be, tested. One of the important things, or at least what I feel is important for positive reinforcement or student assessment, is feedback. Ramsden in 2003 stated that quality feedback to students is now an important part of the education process. Teachers receive feedback whenever they are being evaluated. Oftentimes there's a post-conference or post-assessment, post-evaluation conference with your supervisor, and the supervisor gives you feedback. What did you do really well? What did you maybe struggle with a little bit? And that feedback, teachers use that feedback to go back and better themselves. They take, okay, so I wasn't very good, or I struggled in this aspect. I really need to read up on the studies, the literature. How can I improve on this weak part of my instruction? But they can also take their strengths and say, okay, I did this really well. Maybe I can help other teachers who are struggling in this area. So teachers use feedback all the time. So why are we not giving our students the feedback that they deserve, that they need, so that they can better themselves? Oftentimes when they take a test, they get their test back and they have a number grade, a letter grade, but they don't ever break down what they missed, what they got correct. So if we give them feedback on those different types of assessments, they can really figure out, okay, I'm struggling in this area, maybe I need to figure out a better way to study, or I'm really strong in this area, maybe I can help out other students who seem to be struggling. So I think that feedback is one of those really, really important parts of education, but we might not necessarily be using it as much as we should. So part of the study, we can see data from, and I'll talk about this in just a few minutes when we talk about the method. I guess I can go ahead and talk about that. The PISA, which stands for the Program for International Student Assessment, was designed by the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, or the OECD. Now, the OECD designed this test, which is given to 15-year-olds around the world every 3 years to kind of gauge how well those students are learning. But we take that data and we can kind of compare ourselves to other countries. So maybe the United States is doing really well in critical thinking, but struggling a little bit with some of those more elaborate concepts or science concepts. Yet some of these other countries are doing really well in those science concepts that we're struggling with, and struggling with the critical thinking. What can the teachers do? What can the education systems from those two countries do so that they can both better themselves? So going back to the feedback aspect, PISA has a teacher questionnaire, and that's what I looked at for this study, was the teacher questionnaire. And one of the questions talks about how teachers give students feedback on their different assessments. And that's what I looked at. That was some of the data that I used, that I pulled to figure out if teachers are actually using some of those professional development strategies, those professional development sessions on assessment. Are they using some of those skills to give students feedback? So the results, here are the results, and I've got my tables at the end of the slideshow presentation. But we see that P is less than 0.000, meaning it is significantly related, that teacher assessment and professional development are significantly related. So we are seeing that the teachers are taking those professional development strategies and using them into taking them back into the classroom. So what I figured out from this study is that by providing professional development in the area of student assessment, teachers are more likely to use varying forms of assessment in their classroom. Though there have been many studies conducted related to student assessment, and then also studies conducted regarding professional development, I didn't find many linking the two. And I feel that this is an area that could be explored a little bit more. Are these professional development sessions worth it? Or is it just kind of wasting everybody's time? Here are a couple of the tables that I used. And then here are the resources that I used to figure out if teachers are using the strategies, assessment strategies, that they've learned in their professional development sessions.